It's typical Trump. All bluster, very little substance. He talks a tough game, but then when pressed on it, he's an armchair tough guy. I hate to say it.
He is the unqualified DEI hire.
Hey, welcome to Street Politics. My name is Reese Waters. Shout out to all of our subscribers and members here on the channel. You ever got your boy a interview at your job and he shows up 20 minutes late, fresh from a day party?
We celebrate America, Old Glory, and the freedoms our forefathers fought to establish. Freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of the press, the right to bear arms, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You know the thing. You know what?
Sorry, that's wrong. That's the wrong clip. But are those the same sunglasses that they be advertising at 1 a.m. when I'm watching Southern Fried Homicide? They actually do wear those. Let me find out. Nah, those are the sunglasses that they give you when you use woke enough times. Once you reach your 50 woke quota per month, they send you a free set of those sunglasses.
We also know we're one nation under God. There are a lot of folks trying to divide us right now, but we know who we are. We love God, our families, and our republic. Your support of veteran-owned, American-made, anti-woke companies like Palmetto State Armory, Caliber Coffee, Right to Bear Self-Defense, and AAC Ammunition.
Oh, he going for extra credit. Let me find out. Now, let me ask you about that anti-woke ammunition, right? Because if it was woke ammunition, then it would not discriminate. You know, it would just go wherever. But if it's anti-woke ammunition, then it would discriminate? Okay, so if it's anti-woke ammunition, does it only hit white people?
You say you've had personal issues in your past, yet when asked about those very issues, you blame an anonymous smear campaign, even when many of these claims are not anonymous. Which is it? Have you overcome personal issues, or are you the target of a smear campaign? It can't be both. It's clear to me that you're not being honest with us or the American people because you know the truth would disqualify you from getting the job.
Okay, this is it. These are the confirmation hearings of Pete Hegseth of Fox News because he's qualified.
So I just watched the entire 4.5-hour confirmation hearing of Pete Hegseth, and here are my thoughts. He is the most unqualified candidate I've ever seen in my fucking life, and everybody knows it. Literally everybody who watched that hearing knows it.
You could do acquisition and cross-servicing agreements, which essentially are security agreements. You can't even mention that. You've done none of those. You talked about the Indo-Pacific a little bit, and I'm glad that you mentioned it. Can you name the importance of at least one of the nations in the ASEAN, and what type of agreement we have with at least one of those nations? And how many nations are in ASEAN, by the way?
I couldn't tell you the exact amount of nations in that, but I know we have allies in South Korea and Japan and in AUKUS with Australia, trying to work on submarines with them.
Mr. Hegseth, none of those countries are in ASEAN. None of those 3 countries that you've mentioned are in ASEAN. I suggest you do a little homework before you prepare for these types of negotiations.
ASEAN? Oh, I just thought you said Asian. Okay, it was the subtitles. Subtitles messed me up.
What is the highest level of international negotiations that you have engaged in, that you have led in? Because the Secretary of Defense does lead international security negotiations. There are 3 main ones that the Secretary of Defense leads and signs. Can you name at least one of them?
Could you repeat the question, Senator?
Sure. What is the highest level of international security agreement that you have led? And can you name some that the Secretary of Defense would lead? There's 3 main ones.
Yes. Could you use that in a sentence?
Do you know? I have not been involved in international security arrangements because I have not been in government other than serving in the military. So my job has been to
no. The answer is no. Can you name one of the 3 main ones?
Can you give me the origin, please?
That the Secretary of Defense
defense
signs.
arrangements. I mean, NATO might be one that you're referring to.
Status of Forces Agreement would be one of them.
Status of Forces Agreement. I've been a part of teaching about Status of Forces Agreements.
But you don't remember to mention it? You're not qualified, Mr. Hegseth.
And I would point out, I have never disparaged women serving in the military.
We've got the video, we've got it in print. So going back to January 2013, you told a Fox News interviewer that women in the military simply couldn't measure up to men in the military, saying that allowing women to serve in combat roles would force the military to lower the bar. You picked up on that same theme in 2015, making remarks on Fox News, referring to women in combat as, quote, it would erode standards. June 2024, you said on Ben Shapiro's podcast, quote, women shouldn't be in combat at all. And then, of course, we've talked about it in 2024, you published a book, and you say on page 26 of your book, we need moms, but not in the military, especially in combat units. Page 48 of your book, you claim that women should not be in combat roles because men are distracted by women. And then 10 weeks ago, you appeared on the Sean Ryan show and said, I'm straight up just saying we should not have women in combat roles.
See, I thought you meant today. See, I haven't disparaged women serving in the military today. So that's what I thought. Matter of fact, I don't think I did it. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. But today I haven't.
The guy was a major in the National Guard. And for you civilians, I know you don't understand, that's called an 04. The military rank structure for officers is 01 through 010. Pete's an 04. So what does that mean? Well, in comparison, General Mattis, the guy I interviewed, he was an 010. A fucking 010. There is a huge knowledge and experience difference between an 04 and an 010. Every time you get promoted when you're an officer, you get a larger budget and more responsibility. And you have required reading about military tactics, psychology and war, about global politics, about everything, all the way up to 010. You have to read like 200 books. He read like 10 of those. So the question I keep asking myself is, why was he nominated? He was specifically asked, if President Trump gave you an illegal order, would you carry it out? And he did not answer that question. Trump is going to steamroll this guy, and that dude is not going to say no when the time comes. And let's look at this with our most unbiased lens that we could possibly muster. Why the was an 04 major from the National Guard who has only been in charge of 200 people and a $10 million budget nominated for one of the most powerful positions in the world? He's gonna end wokeness. He looks like an alpha Chad. Any reasonable person would see this. Man, and I am asking you guys to see reason. This is literally the equivalent of promoting the assistant store manager to CEO of a Fortune 500 company. Is getting trans people out of the bathroom so important that we gotta put this guy in there? He is the unqualified DEI hire.
Thank you, Mr. Hegseth. I'm looking forward to this opportunity to talk. I want to return to the incident that you referenced a minute ago that occurred in Monterey, California in October 2017. At that time, you were still married to your second wife, correct?
I believe so.
And you had just fathered a child by a woman who would later become your third wife, correct?
Senator, I was falsely charged, fully investigated, and completely cleared.
Of fathering the child, you cleared of. You were falsely charged with fathering the child, and then you married her? This is crazy. They need Maury for this.
So you think you were completely cleared because you committed no crime. That's your definition of cleared? You had just fathered a child 2 months before by a woman that was not your wife. I am shocked that you would stand here and say you're completely cleared. Can you so casually cheat on a second wife and cheat on the mother of a child that had been born 2 months before, and you tell us you are completely cleared? How is that a complete clear?
To be fair, Tim Kaine, it would be more casual to cheat on the second wife if we're being, Donald can attest to that.
Senator, her child's name is Gwendolyn Hope Hegseth, and she's a child of God, and she's 7 years old.
And she was, and you cheated on the mother of that child less than 2 months after that daughter was born, didn't you?
That's a good try. That's a good try. He just did the cheating equivalent of, I love too hard. You know what I mean? I love too hard and I care too much. And if anything, that is my biggest weakness. That is the biggest liability. I'm just so loving.
It was a false claim.
But you acknowledge
fully investigated.
that you cheated on your wife and that you cheated on the woman by whom you had just fathered a child. You have admitted that.
I will allow your words to speak for themselves.
You're not retracting that today. That's good. I assume that in each of your weddings, you've pledged to be faithful to your wife. You've taken an oath to do that, haven't you?
Oh, Tim Kaine, bruh. Oh. While we're on the topic, how is it that all of Donnie's circle has the same issues? How is that possible? That must be how they know each other. I would think if you just pluck people out randomly throughout society, you would not come out with that many people with the same litany of issues. Like it's some kind of support group or something.
Senator, as I've acknowledged to everyone in this committee, not a perfect person, not claiming to be.
But no, I just asked a simple question. You've taken an oath, like you would take an oath to be Secretary of Defense in all of your weddings to be faithful to your wife. Is that correct?
I have failed in things in my life, and thankfully I'm redeemed by my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.
In finalizing divorces from your first and second wives, were there non-disclosure agreements in connection with those divorces?
Senator, not that I'm aware of.
If there were, would you agree to release those first and second wives from any confidentiality agreement?
Senator, it's not something I'm aware of.
Don't do it, Pete. Don't do it, Pete. Because we find out all kind of stuff. Are you kidding me? And it's not partisan at all, although maybe I should be. But if you ask me if I would release my girlfriend from 2009 from a non-existent NDA, hell no. I wouldn't release the girl I kissed in the 4th grade by the swing set. You not telling on me. 1 minute life is good. Next thing you know, here come Byron Donald's ex-wife coming to tell all. Wait, what he sound like?
But if there were, you would agree to release them from a confidentiality agreement.
Senator, that's not my responsibility.
Did you ever engage in any acts of physical violence against any of your wives?
Senator, absolutely not.
But you would agree with me that if someone had committed physical violence against a spouse, that would be disqualifying to serve as Secretary of Defense, correct?
Senator, absolutely not have I ever done that.
You would agree that that would be a disqualifying offense, would you not?
Senator, you're talking about a hypothetical.
I don't think it's a hypothetical. Violence against spouses occurs every day. And if you as a leader are not capable of saying that physical violence against a spouse should be a disqualifying fact for being secretary of the most powerful nation in the world, you're demonstrating an astonishing lack of judgment.
He going hard. I don't recall Tim Kaine when you start going this hard. I don't remember the vice presidential debate being this fiery. Then again, I guess Mike Pence didn't give you a whole lot. It takes two. It does take two. I learned that in the 4th grade during that kiss by the swing set. I know you must have been scared of Karen Pence. That's what that was. You were scared of Karen Pence, so you treaded lightly. That was smart.
The incident in Monterey led to a criminal charge, a criminal investigation, a private settlement, and a cash payment to the woman who filed the complaint. And there was also a non-disclosure agreement, correct?
It was a confidential settlement agreement off of a nuisance lawsuit.
Right. During an interview, you claimed that you settled the matter because you were worried that if it became public, it might hurt your career. Do you maintain that you were blackmailed?
Senator, I maintain that false claims were made against me. And ultimately,
Your attorney
those
used
false
the phrase,
claims, I have the opportunity to attest my innocence in those false claims.
But you didn't reveal any of this to President Trump or the transition team as they were considering you to be nominated for Secretary of Defense. You didn't reveal the action. You didn't reveal the criminal complaint. You didn't reveal the criminal investigation. You didn't reveal the settlement. You didn't reveal the cash payment. Why didn't you inform the commander-in-chief and the transition team of this very relevant event?
Senator, I've appreciated every part of the process with the transition team. They have been open and honest with me. We've had great conversations between the two of us, and I appreciate the opportunity that President-elect Trump has given me.
You chose not to reveal this, right? Because you knew it would hurt your chances. So you chose not to reveal this really important thing to the commander-in-chief and the transition team because you were worried about your chances rather than trying to be candid with the future president of the United States. Are there any other important facts that you chose not to reveal to the president-elect and his team as they were considering you to be Secretary of Defense?
Senator, I sit here before you an open book, as everyone who's watched this process.
With multiple non-disclosure and confidentiality agreements tying the hands of many people who would like to comment to us.
Tim Kaine treating Pete Hegseth like Judge Janine at Craft Services. She don't play.
Much has been made of your workplace behavior as a leader of nonprofit veterans organizations and as a Fox News contributor. Were you fired from either of the leadership positions with the nonprofits?
I was the leader. I was the CEO of Concerned Veterans for America and the executive director of Vets for Freedom.
Were you fired from either of them?
And I was never fired from a veterans organization.
Do you have non-disclosure agreements with either of those organizations?
Not that I'm aware of, Senator.
Many of your work colleagues have said that you show up for work under the influence of alcohol or drunk. I know you've denied that, but you would agree with me, right, that if that was the case, that would be disqualifying for somebody to be Secretary of Defense.
Senator, those are all anonymous false claims, and the totality
they're not anonymous.
The letters on the record here.
They're not anonymous.
On the record,
we've seen records with names attached to them. Vets for Freedom,
Concerned Vets for America, and Fox News attributing to me working hard every day on behalf.
One of your colleagues said that you got drunk at an event at a bar and chanted all Muslims. Another colleague, not anonymous, we have this, said that you took coworkers to a strip club. You were drunk, you tried to dance with strippers, you had to be held off the stage, and one of your employees in that event filed a sexual harassment charge as a result of it.
Now, wait a minute. Somebody filed a whole lawsuit behind that? We really got to get better surveillance footage at some of these clubs. Yeah, because if it was a regular club, it would be footage.
Now, I know you denied these things, but isn't that the kind of behavior that, if true, would be disqualifying for somebody to be Secretary of Defense?
Senator, anonymous false charges.
They're not anonymous. And I'll just conclude and say this to the chairman. You claim that this was all anonymous. We have seen records with names attached to all of these, including the name of your own mother. So don't make this into some anonymous press thing.
That is a whole lot of smoke. That is true. That was a whole lot of smoke. And some of it was coming from Mama's house. And it was not coming from the cherry pie. Unless it's the kind of like cherry pie from the movie American Pie. Then maybe it was. Chris Cuomo, what you want?
So, because of his marriage, he can't be trusted with the oath of office. 2 points of disgust. How many people on that committee, how many in Congress could pass the Kaine test that you can't honor an oath to serve if you've ever been unfaithful? Kaine may be sitting in that room alone. Who cares when we are talking about being the top warrior, not our pastor?
Ooh, so let me get this straight. All of this is irrelevant, but did we not just come off a whole presidential election cycle where people prodded about Kamala Harris's history? Wasn't that one of their big talking points, right? Yeah, was Kamala. Even though there's nothing untoward with her current marriage, But that was a specific point of obsession on behalf of the right. Now all of a sudden is who cares, which is kind of funny, because that is the exact same standard that's applied to Donald Trump, right? When it's Donald Trump, it's who cares, but when it was Kamala Harris, it's what can we possibly dig up? Oh, okay, that's not obvious at all. Now, that's not to say you didn't make any good points, Chris Cuomo.
Most of them seem to think, on the right, that the biggest threat to America is DEI. They're vetting a Secretary of Defense, and their concern isn't why we were found to be unprepared for war with our major enemies, or again, why we can't identify what's flying all over the place, including over military bases that Hegseth would have to control, or what happens if Trump wants to pull out of Syria, and whether ISIS will take that as an open invitation to expand. Instead, they made it about the war they really care about most. Not war with Russia, not with China or Iran or ISIS, or the cyber war we're clearly losing, but the culture war. The senator's most pressing concern for the Pentagon, judging by many of the questions, DEI.
If confirmed and you issue an order saying we are going to rip the Biden woke yoke off the neck of our military and focus on lethality and warfighting, how do you think the troops will react?
Senator, I know the troops will rejoice.
They will love it.
They will love it.
DEI is not about giving everybody opportunity. It is rooted in cultural Marxism.
The Department of Defense spent over 5 million man-hours on quote-unquote counter-extremism and diversity training, what you and I might call woke training or DEI.
How many genders are there? Tough one.
Senator, there are 2 genders.
I know that well. I'm a she-he, so I'm on board. How many push-ups can you do?
I did 5 sets of 47 this morning.
47 because Trump's the 47th president. Listen, how many push-ups he can do is probably one of the pithiest things that guy asked. How is any of this a priority? He's not running for office. Now, their best hook on DEI was spending $80 million on DEI programs in 2023. You can feel whatever way you want about that. It's a big number, unless you compare it to the overall Pentagon budget of over $800 billion. So their focus is on 0.01% of the Pentagon budget? That's the question?
Well, see, that was relevant because of the ammunition. And we got to make sure what kind of ammunition we're using, whether it's woke or it's anti-woke ammunition. You know what I mean? So, you know, Pete Hegseth kind of went through that at the beginning. Is this Fox News? Was this Fox News walk away from all of this? A child of God, Hegseth reamed over infidelity accusations in front of his 7-year-old. I'm surprised at you, Fox News. I would have thought this would have been something you would have been more interested in, you know, since it was your heir.
It's typical Trump. All bluster, very little substance. He talks a tough game, but then when pressed on it, he's an armchair tough guy. I hate to say it, but this is a guy who said that John McCain is not a war hero, yet he sought his own 5 military deferments.
But you wanted to clutch pearls about his child being there, which, okay, that is fair. Let's go with your standard of decorum. So I should just take my child everywhere with me. I mean, really. You know how many interviews would have gone better for me if I would have brought my child? I'm sorry, that gap in my resume, I got my child with me. I can't. I can't. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, officer. What seems to be the problem? Oh, where am I headed? I can't. My child with me. I'm sorry. Yeah. Child of God here. Now, this is one of my favorite MAGA-isms because when I saw this, my immediate thought was to go into MAGA's attacks on people's family members in the past, whether it be Ella Emhoff or whether it be Gus Waltz. I didn't have to, because y'all did it today. You always show yourselves. Here they are going at Tim Kaine's son and Doug Emhoff. And you know what? It's a good thing that Tim Kaine's son and Doug Emhoff are not up for Secretary of Defense. Yeah, because that would be, those issues would be concerning if Tim Kaine's son was up for Secretary of Defense, but he is not. So let me get this straight, MAGA. So you want to clutch pearls about Pete Hegseth's child being in a room she didn't have to be, preventing him from answering some questions during a job interview, but you are fully prepared to attack the family members and children of members of the left who you happen to take issue with. Is that your stance? Here's another one I love from him. How many senators showed up drunk to vote at night? Don't tell me you haven't seen it, because I know you have. How about a divorce for cheating on their wives?
How many senators have showed up drunk to vote at night? Have any of you guys asked them to step down and resign from their job? And don't tell me you haven't seen it, because I know you have. And then how many senators do you know have got a divorce before cheating on their wives?
Mark Wayne Mullen. Two named Mark. Don't threaten me with a good time. I'm here for it. Say what you gotta say, bro. Say what you gotta say. I don't know why you think I would have I don't know why you think say what you gotta say, bro. I got the same reaction I had when Marjorie Taylor Greene came out and threatened to out members of Congress. I'm good with all of it, because unlike y'all, I keep it a buck. Oh, but it looked like Tulsi can't. Oh, that's a shame. That's a shame. You know what, Tulsi? All you gotta do, you bring some children in with you. They don't even gotta be yours. Just bring in some children of God, and you ain't gotta answer no questions. Nah, they'll back you up. Hey, I want to thank you guys so much for supporting the channel as we approach a new administration and the changing winds of our media landscape. I want to invite you to join my channel. I think it's very important to preserve a space and a platform where I can communicate clearly and honestly, as all of our creators are hoping to maintain. Unfortunately, it looks like that ground may be evaporating right underneath our feet. So I wanted to let you know I'm going to continue to post on my channel, but I'll also be posting more in the membership section as well, so we can have clear and honest conversations. You can find the button to join right there on my page. There's also a link in the description box to all of my videos. I also want to invite you to join my mindfulness and meditation channel. That's my second channel. It is Way of Waters, because we gonna need it. We gonna need it. I might wear that thing out by the midterms.